Hello, welcome to Scale Modelling. This video is part of a series of tips and tricks videos, and this video is about preparing yourself for building a model and getting yourself organized. It's basically arranging your setup so that everything's, basically to increase your efficiency and of your organization of where things are. So let's have a look. For example, this model that I'm going to start a video series on is the Scharnhorst, a German battleship. Now it's a 1/700 scale, which is the smallest I've ever built, and to be quite honest, it's looking a bit scary considering my last build was a 1/200 Arizona ship. Yeah, this is really tiny. So anyway, what we do first is you want everything within reach, and to know how to find things quickly. So, for example, all your plastic sprues that you get with the kit, in this one there's actually a ton of them. So, yeah, there's a heap. And as you know, they're all labelled. So, this one, for example, is S. Okay, so you've got a little tab on the top corner there saying this is sprue number S. Now the problem is they're really hard to see and find when you're looking for things. Now, so to get around that, what I do is I get a piece of masking tape. What I'll do is I'll just take a very small little bit of it, just like that, for example, and then I would get my marker pen, just where you can see this, and we'll just put S, and then that will go on there. So now I can easily see if the instructions say to find a piece on sprue S, there it is. Now if there's another sprue S, which this isn't, this is T, but sometimes you'll open these and you'll find there might be two. So I would put ×2 on the bottom so you know that both in that packet is 2. Also what I do is I try to keep them in the plastic as well. So what I'll do is I'll cut along the top here to access them, but I will keep them in there. So when I'm finished with them, I'll put them back in there, because there's a lot of little pieces in here that could be knocked off, and I'd rather have them knocked off in the bag where I can find them easily than knocked off where they could go anywhere. Now another thing I do to keep things in order is I'll get a container like this. Now if I was doing a bigger model kit, this wouldn't be big enough. I have a large plastic crate that I use, but the idea of this is you stack all your sprues in like this, and you keep them all together like this, and you can visually see exactly what you're reaching for, and it keeps everything in one place on your bench or table, wherever you're working. Now that's fine. Now there's a lot of smaller ones as well, and that's not a problem because you can easily just come and get some smaller containers, and you can do the same thing with smaller containers and keep them handy as well. Now, talking about containers, move these out of the way. These are little like takeaway containers. You can buy them in those cheap shops, and these sell for like, you get like $2 and you'll get 5 or 10 of them. They come with lids, and the idea is with these, I will put paper towel inside it. I'll have the lid, and then separate individual parts you build, and you need to keep them aside, like turrets or guns and different sections of what you're building. I'd put them in here to keep them safe, and then put the lid on, and then I'll put them away. I would also I have little post-it things, or in this case these little bright sticky bits like this. So if that turret was on the instructions, was say part 5 on the instructions, then I would write part 5 and stick that in there with it, and then that would go over onto the pile of all the superstructure and all the bits and pieces that you put together, spotlights, whatever, with their number on the instructions of what that was. And they're all safe and they're not going to get damaged. Now, another idea also is if you come across some really small parts, and in this model I'm sure there's going to be, then I would use not just the containers, but I would use these. So these are like from the same store, things you put your sauces in and stuff like that. They're just little plastic ones. They're the same price. You get about 10 or 20 of these for a couple of dollars, and they all come with lids as well. So just pop your lid on, and in there will go your little photo etch pieces you've built, whatever. And also, to provide a little bit of more protection, I have kept these not styrene, but this is like a really soft material, and you'll find it, for instance, this is the hull of the Shan horse here, it's wrapped in some of that. So what I do is I keep that, and then I'll cut a little square piece of that, pop that in the bottom of the container, so it's something for the part to sit on. It's not going to get damaged. It's not going to rattle around in there and knock it over, and it rolls off the table on the floor, and you find bits and pieces of metal etch everywhere. So it just offers a little bit more protection by using a bit of padding in there. And again, you drop a tag in there with the number of the part and instructions you're up to that came from. Okay, so that's those ideas. Now another thing is the photo etch itself. Now this kit, this is made by Flyhawk, and the battleship came with a bonus of all the barrels and the photo etch in it. So sometimes you'll get aftermarket photo etch and stuff, and again I would take these out, take off the tape that's holding them in there, just cut the top and keep them in here. I mean, they've got a cardboard backing, a bit more in the back there. There's a cardboard backing under there. They're safe. They're not going to get bent or damaged. You're not going to accidentally drop something on them that's going to cause a problem. So always keep them in the packets that they came in, and keep them somewhere safe as well. And I'll show you in a second. I'll just have a quick check here. So for these I have larger plastic containers, and these are just ones well, I don't know about where you are, but in Australia you buy some frozen meat from the delivery, online delivery, and it comes in stuff like this, and just clean them out. Good solid plastic containers, and put your photo etch sheets in them. Put them over next to your container of plastic sprue, and it keeps everything in place and safe. That's the main thing. Right, now, as I said, with this kit, it comes with metal pieces. So we've got metal pieces here. You'll see in there, there's gun barrels, other bits and pieces that'll go on the ship. Now, fortunately, they're already labelled. So when you refer to the instructions, it'll go, oh, you need piece from PAFH 706173, and you'll know exactly, there's the bag for it. Now the problem is getting them out of these bags, and they're a bit fiddly, and some are really extremely small. So what I would do is I would take these out and put them in their own separate little container, like these. Now, the labels are there, and if your kit doesn't, but I'm sure it will tell you what labels they are. Again, whether you use a bit of the masking tape to stick over the top and then write down the name of the pieces you have in there. I mean, you can mix them up. If you keep some pieces that look completely different, you can put a few different types in the one container, as long as you label what's in there. And then those containers can go into here, and you can just stack them all in there, put your lid on, and all those pieces are safe, and you can see exactly what's where, and you can just reach for what you need. So they'll all go together in that sort of thing. Now your deckings, if you have deckings, it's best to keep them flat. Alright, always keep them on a flat surface, and don't open them until you have to. They can, depending on the brand, tend to curl up sometimes, and depending on the weather, if it's hot. So I won't open this until I'm going to use it, and if I do open it, again, slide it back into the package where it is, and even possibly go and sit it somewhere safe, for instance, under your mat. Put it under your mat to keep it flat. Although probably wouldn't do that, but keep it under something flat, just to keep it in good condition. Because when you lay that, you don't want that thing curling up in any way. That's that. Now I'll move this aside a minute. Alright. Now as for the instructions themselves, this is a flight hawk kit, so it's come with its specific instructions, which are a bit different. Usually with Trumpeter kits and Revell kits, you get the instructions that just open out, which are quite easy to work with, I think, because what I do is I have a place here where I can place that, and I can just see it, watch what I'm doing, see what I'm doing. But these ones are a bit laid out differently. So you've got step 1 here, and that's going to start on the hull. There's a few things you have to remove, and a few things you have to, looks like some portholes have to be filled, and you go through. Now what you need to do before you start your model is check your contents. So most instructions will show you all the sprues you've got. They'll show you've got 1 lot of S, 1 T, 1 V, 2 Ds, 2 Es. So you go through, just make sure everything's there, that's important. You've got decals, this comes with decals, also masks. Again, keep these in a safe spot. You're not going to use these for a while. Put them where they're not going to get anything spilt on them. Don't take them out of the plastic. best thing for these sort of things is straight back in the box, keep them in the box. So yeah, so that everything you need. Make sure you go through all the instructions, look at what everything means, like all the little signs as you come across. You'll see there's like this little sign here, which when you go to here will tell you it means to remove something. Exclamation points mean to pay attention, which means just be careful, certain little bits. Again, this is a new model for me. I've never built a Flyhawk model, let alone a 700 scale. So these instructions are new to me, so I will go through these every step, and then I will compare it to, they also included instructions for the photo etch and all the brass parts. So what you find is, if you go through the main thing, like step 2 is working on the turrets. Now, just because the photo etch kit came in the box with the ship doesn't mean it's part of the original instructions. So when you're working on step 2 and you're putting it all together, there's nothing in there talking about putting any photo etch on there. But if you go over to the instructions and you go over to page, let's have a look how far we've got to look through here. Page 3, there we go. Page 3 will show the turrets and what photo etch needs to go on the turrets. So what you need to do, or what I do, is I'll get a red pen, and at step 2 for the turrets, I'll put a little red X on there, which tells me that I need to go and refer to the instructions for the photo etch, because I know that photo etch needs to be added to that part, and I don't want to miss it. Now, I'm now noticing that there's no actual steps in the photo etch instructions here. All it is showing you all the parts and how to put it all together, and where they go, but there's no particular order of doing anything. So like I said there, step 2 with the turrets was actually towards the end of the bottom of the page 3 on the instructions. So you don't want to miss things, that's the important thing. So mark on your main instructions that you're following that red X means I've got to go back and check the photo etch on there. And then also what you do is, as you complete things, for instance here you've got DE15, you've got all the names of all the parts that are going together to make up the part. So the turret consists of DE15-2, DE15-4, and they will build up the turret. So what I also do is, usually with a pencil, in case I ever make a mistake, is I circle pieces that I've done. And that also includes, with the photo etch, I'll go over and I will circle any pieces that I've done. Because you're going to find that you're going from page to page looking for things, and it just makes it a bit easier on the eyes when you're going to areas that you know you haven't worked on before. Alright, so yeah, this particular kit is going to be quite complicated, mainly because of the size of it. The other thing to think about too when you're building is painting. So you're going to get to a point where you've got to decide when to paint. Now, the hull, as I said on the instructions, is part 1. There's a few things that need to be removed and a few holes that need to be filled. Now, going by what I see on the instructions, that's all that needs to be done on the hull. Other than, of course, your propellers and shafts and the rudder, which going by this is way further down on the kit build. Yeah. So the hull itself could probably be primed as soon as you've done those pieces that have to be removed, taken off. Spraying the deck and doing that sort of thing, well, there's a wood deck going on top. So the idea with, I mean, I'm not going to go into how to build this is basically getting set up. But the idea is to put everything on the deck you can that you know that the wood deck will fit over when it's laid on top. And once all that stuff's all on the deck, before you stick down the wood deck, spray it the colour, that it's the grey or whatever the colour is supposed to be, because those pieces will be sticking up through the wood deck and you don't want to have to try and fiddle around with a tiny little brush while your deck's down and trying to paint little pieces and risk getting paint on your deck. There will be obviously pieces that are too big to go on because the decking won't go over the top of it, but those pieces you'll just have to paint separately. Alright, so that pretty much covers organising. It is very important to read through the instructions, start to finish. Go through, mark all the parts on the instructions that require photo etch. And if your photo etch areas are numbered, then maybe where you put the little X, you could also put the number of the sheet on photo etch where you have to refer to. It all helps. So yeah, now use your containers to keep everything visually within reach. Keep everything in your plastic. When you're finished with it, put it back in the plastic, just so you're not going to lose anything that might get knocked off. Make use of your little containers for your little pieces. Very, very important. And also for your containers with towel and serviettes in the bottom for your pieces as you build them up, or your turrets, etc. So you can go back to them later when they need to be fitted on the ship. Alright, that's about it. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell there for notifications when the next video is released. I'm releasing at least twice a week here. And this series will be going over a lot of subjects. There's already one there I've got up that's all about cleaning your model. There's some handy tips there. And yeah, so give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Please comment below if you've got any suggestions, ideas, tips of your own. I'm happy to take all comments down there. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. Bye.